What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again live on Twitch. How you guys doing? I'm Anthony. Fucking, let's see, what do we got? Now I'm all twisted up because I was like, oh no, we're doing something different now. So we're gonna do first. So I'm Anthony. I'm here with my resident homies as always, Joel, Joseph, and Casey. Joseph coming from across the world right now. Our guest today, Kelly Shaefer, coming from across the country.
Cheers.
What's going on, Kelly? Dude, thank you so much for being with us. This is
my pleasure, boys.
A pinnacle milestone episode for me. And yeah, dude, I can't wait to get into this. So let's do the damn thing. Let's get into some plugs real quick. Kelly first. Let's do him first. You got some stuff that's been brewing up for you guys lately. You got a tour coming up and all that stuff. So let's get some plugs. Where can we buy merch? Where can we find all this information?
You can find all the Atheist merch at two places, indiemerch.com. I believe it's atheist.indiemerch.com. You can find several designs, a lot of new stuff as well. We also have a couple of interesting designs at shadowkingdomrecords.com. So both of those places pretty much have all of our merch officially. And if it's not there, then it's probably bootleg. And don't fucking buy it. And we have a North American tour with our friends in Suffocation coming up in May and June. We got a spot at the Maryland Death Fest on the 27th, I believe, on the Friday on the big stage. So that's gonna be a lot of fun, and that's gonna be a great day because there's that lineup that day is sick as fuck. So
fuck yeah,
cool. I can say fuck, right? Yeah, I can say that.
Oh, yeah, you could fucking say fuck, bro.
Shit. So we would actually be in Europe right now, and with the way today unfolded, I'm we were going to be playing Poland and Romania.
Wow.
And we would literally be, I don't know where the dates landed today, but it would have been kind of a tense way to get home from there with everything that's going on, so I
definitely,
as much as we really wanted to get over to Europe, but COVID is actually the reason why 3 times it got postponed, and then finally we just had to cancel it and try to put together another tour. Our management worked really hard on it, and everybody, the promoters over there try to keep it afloat, but it was just, it's been a tough time for everybody. So
I heard actually Louis C.K. the comic is playing there tonight. I think he's still sticking through and doing it right in the middle of
in Romania.
Yeah, no, in Ukraine. He's doing it.
He's fucking there right now, dude.
Yeah, he's not canceling. He's doing it.
I mean.
He's uncancelable, dude.
Wow. Louis C.K. would be the martyr of comedy. Right? The martyr of comedy.
He's got a case of the fuckets. He's got a little bit of the fuckets.
I mean, it's got to be a pretty scary place to be right now. I mean, you don't know where they're targeting, from day to day. But we have a lot of friends and fans over there, and we wish them the very best. I can't. We in America can't possibly imagine how fucking crazy that is. There's a video circulating around today of a residential neighborhood. They were looking out the window and a bomb dropped and you heard a little kid scriming.
Yeah,
I have a 5-year-old, and it just, oh man.
That just hurts.
Hit me right in the heart, because I mean, people like to make jokes and fucking post memes, and it's not funny. Everybody over there is just like us. They just speak a different language and live a little differently. But they have children that they love, and they worked hard to build their families and build their independence and have their sovereignty. And this fucking asshole from Russia, who really, I don't understand why, we think of it as a whole country. We should just take our special, America should just take our special forces and take that fucker out, because that one guy is really influential to how sort of the culture of Russia is behaving. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard, maybe we haven't heard about that because we shouldn't, if they were going to do something to him.
Yeah, they don't want to broadcast it.
Right. Because, but I think that for starters, somebody should be trying to take that fucking guy out.
Yeah.
Period. We've had enough of his shit, and this is, I can't imagine what people are going through there. So I feel for everybody over there, and I hope that they, I know that Poland, and I heard today that Ireland, was willing to take people without visas.
Okay.
That was really amazing.
That is cool.
If everybody can get out, but just imagine being in a 50-mile traffic jam.
I fucking can't, dude.
To get out of your
can't.
state. Nuts,
I know.
man.
Our problems are nothing.
No, I mean, we really, we act like, oh my God, I have to put on a fucking mask. Yeah. Well, imagine if you were dodging fucking, missiles from Russia, and trying to protect your kids. It's crazy.
Right. Wild shit,
crazy.
dude.
We're lucky to be where we are in this country.
Yeah. So, exactly.
Talking about fucking metal.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. So yeah, and the Suffo dates we already had that flyer up, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
Nice, dude. Cool.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely going to happen. So, I know it's going to happen. So I don't think there's going to be any sort of lockdown coming up in the next 2 months. So we can't wait to see everybody. We're looking forward to it. And it'll be our first shows in 2.5 years. Last show we did was 70,000 Tons of Metal in
shit.
January of 2020. So, yeah, we're talking about a little over 2 years.
That's awesome.
I gotta get my fucking voice. I gotta get my voice back.
I've been doing that. I've been in the car to and from work, growling every day.
I do the same shit, man.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh man, I gotta stretch my shit back out again. I haven't yelled enough in the last 2.5 years.
Right.
What kind of techniques do you have for tour? Like, is there a certain?
I smoke a lot of pot and drink Jaeger. Talk way too much. Guys, I'm the worst.
That's all.
I really, in my head, I really want to get, I want to be better about the culture of vocals. But I honestly, my whole life, it's always been that way. Like, I just, I'm not a picture of health when it comes to good habits with vocals, but it works out for me. I have a higher pitched thingy, so it's like I don't really have to. It just kind of comes. It's more of a reaction, almost like vomiting. So when, like, if somebody were to be like, sing this verse for me, I'm like, no. It's almost like like a fighter, like, come on, fight me. No, well, punch me, and then we're gonna fight. When I have a couple shots and I'm in a room full of more than a couple hundred people, then it's time to fucking get down, and it's almost like a possession. And no matter whether I'm sick or anything, it comes out, and I'm grateful for that. I'm sure that will end at some point. I'm gonna have to be a little different about my technique, but I've just been fortunate. Sometimes I lose my voice a little bit during the day on tour, like when I first wake up, and it gets harder. Like when you're in your 20s and 30s, it's a little easier, but when you're in your 50s and you're screaming your face off, you have to be a little more. So on the last tour that we did, a funny story is that we played, I think it was 2012, and right when we started in the Czech Republic at the Brutal Assault Festival. Oh, and nice. I was sick, man. I felt like I had glass in my throat, and it was difficult to communicate with doctors over there as an American. And so my drummer, Steve Flynn, he went and found a doctor, and they got me some antibiotics. But it was the first time that I wasn't allowed to drink. Obviously, you can't drink on the antibiotics. So I was fucking irritated, man. So mad about it, because the first show had this massive Jaeger tent. And I was like, that would be my hang right now. I would be over there getting ready for the show, because in my mind, that's how I needed to get ready. But it wasn't true. It's just me. I think everybody has that thing. Well, I need to do this in order to be able to achieve that. You don't. Definitely. It's really, at the end of the day, it's your heart and soul that gets it done, and you might think that you need these extra additives, but you don't necessarily need them. And it was what I found out was, by not drinking, my voice lasted a lot longer.
Interesting.
Now, did I continue that trend? I did not. I did not because it was about weighing out my feelings of because when you walk out and on stage, it's a lot like getting in a fight. It's a lot like you need a special kind of energy inside you to be able to go out there, because it's terrifying. Because every people could just be like, fuck you, and as a singer and a creator, you worry about that,
And with no alcohol too, you have to just deal with it. There's not like you don't have that comfort blanket of like alcohol going like, well, fuck it, I don't give a shit. You kind of have to take it more in.
Yeah. And so I tried to meet myself halfway on the cattle decapitation tour and all that. I didn't like tie it on too much. I had a shot, maybe two, before we play, just to just to soften the edges a little bit. And I think, you know, that's just that's my process. So
Yeah.
I wish I had a healthier way to be like, yeah, you know, I suck down honey. But I got to tell you, there's a thing called throat coat.
Oh yeah.
Like a singer's savior. So
it is the best, dude. I have it every time I record as well.
It's just it's a lubricant for your vocals. So even if no matter how shitty your voice is, you can lubricate it for about a couple of hours to get through a show. And I learned that from Ozzy.
Yeah.
We were on Ozzfest in 2002, and I looked on stage and I saw this cup full of this orange shit, and I was like, what is that? And obviously we found out from their tour managers and stuff, and they had it available at catering. Like Ozzfest was amazing, and you know, every morning we could go to catering, and you wake up on the bus and there's a bottle of Jaeger and a bottle of Grey Goose, and you could eat lunch and dinner there every day. It had like cafeteria, like in the school, like when you went to school, except that Rob Zombie was there and System of a Down and fucking, you know, it was the weirdest cafeteria you've ever been to in school, because you walk in, it's like, you literally wait, you know, you stand in line with a tray and you look over and it's Surge from System, and you look over here and it's Zach Wild, you know, it's like, what a fucking weird cafeteria. I mean, right now, you know, like, and you can't really pull out a camera because it's fucking cringy, you know?
Yeah.
But again, so
didn't
you just kind of
make like a ridiculous amount of money per show on that tour too? I think that they made like over $100,000 a show.
I know that year Sharon had cancer, and Ozzy was flying out a lot, and then he actually had one 3-day period where he put System of a Down as the headliner. He canceled 3 shows himself.
Wow.
And we actually I was in a band called Neurotica that a lot of extreme metal people don't really know about, but it was you know, a successful sort of hard rock band, you know, and I'm proud of it, but it was just outside of the realm of atheist people understand. But so we got moved to the main stage during that time that happened, and it was cool and it was not cool, because playing at 5 o'clock on Ozzfest is a little weird for a band like us, because you're looking at a lot of blue seats. It's like all amphitheaters, so a lot of the people that were actually watching us were about 150 yards away, like way back on the grass
on the field.
But for me as a singer to walk on that stage, the same stage that Ozzy was about to rock on, and just go, yeah, and check on the microphone was like, it was I never, you know, sang through a PA system like that in my life. Just it's a weird thing that I can't really explain, but there's a torque to talking on a microphone with speakers that are, you know, 50, 60 feet tall. You know, we're talking about 5 or 6 stories of speakers. It was pretty interesting, man, to be like, put your fucking hands up and see people 150, 200 yards away. Like, it's a nice power. It was cool.
Damn. What year was that?
2002. Yeah, 2002 with it was with Down and System of a Down and Chevelle and OTEP, and I think POD was on the main stage, and obviously Ozzy.
I think I was there.
I was there too at the Shoreline one.
Neurotica.
Me too.
I was the guy with the big crazy fucking fisheye I got. We had a good run, man. It was cool. We you know, we had just signed to the WWE, and Vince McMahon's label. It was a brand new label.
Jesus.
And they did a really good job of putting us in a good position, and you know, we were fortunate to be there. You know, it was a different world for me as you know, coming out of death metal and underground metal, and sort of jumping in that pool was completely different. You're talking about radio play and radio conventions, and just a different technique of marketing music. And I don't know, it was cool, you know, because it was the WWE. It was a brand new label, and they had a bunch of money, and you know, they did a good job in the beginning of actually marketing, but they just didn't have the infrastructure as a label. They didn't operate. They didn't really know how to operate as a label. They operated as a sports entertainment company, you know, and it didn't,
like XFL or something.
Yeah, you know, that's a great example. That's a great example, because they fucked that up by putting wrestling people as announcers, and and they tried to do that with us. Like, we had a huge meeting with Vince, Linda, Stephanie, Shane McMahon at a big, just like you would imagine in a, you know, in your dreams as a young kid. You know, you're sitting at this large boardroom table with these very powerful people, and they were like, yeah, we want to put you guys on tour with Fozzy. And I was like, fuck that. I said, look, man,
Chris Jericho,
yeah. I mean, and I was just
yeah.
like, listen, we are not a because Neurotica was a good band. We had our first record was produced by Brian Johnson from AC/DC. You know, he found us in a little club, saw us playing, and was like, holy fuck, you know, and agreed to produce our first album. And Mike Frazier, who did Aerosmith Pump and Metallica Load and Reload, all those records, he mixed the record. And you know, so we were coming from good stock. And so we were just like, no, you know, we need to do our own thing. And they were like, well, what do you mean? I said, we need to do Ozzfest. So we were signed to an agency called Evolution Talent, and they had like Britney Spears and NSYNC and all these different artists that were huge. And we were like, yeah, we want to do Ozzfest, and we should be hitting the market like everybody's been sleeping and they didn't know about this band. And because I mean, the WWE had a lot of power at that point. They had a lot of television time. They had a lot of shows on MTV. And you know, they were in a position to, if we made videos and made music, they could use that music in their wrestling. They could use the videos, and they did. They used our music for King of the Ring and a lot of things like that. But I mean, their exposure was unique to a record label. Like, they had a lot more. They didn't really need MTV or radio stations necessarily. You know, they could have, but they just, again, they tried to apply that wrestling logic business wise to that. And so we parted ways after that. But I mean, they spent $500,000 on our band. They ran full page ads and, like, you know, all kinds of major magazines, and it was cool. Man. You know, it was a good run, and we had a lot of fun. That tour, we actually, you know, to be on Ozzfest, it cost $75,000.
Yeah, I heard that.
Just to be on it, and then it cost probably $80,000 to do it with the bus and the crew and all that. So we got to, as a result of me being a dick at that meeting, WWE actually ended up sponsoring the whole tour, and Sharon waived our fee, so we didn't have to pay the $75,000.
Damn.
Sometimes it pays to be a loudmouth, you know.
Yeah. Definitely, I've heard about labels. Definitely, like I think Black Dahlia Murder was thrown on that Ozzfest back in the day, or maybe it was Mayhem back then. But yeah, they basically the idea was you put them on there, and then right after that you hit the fucking road and you make that money back because you got the promotion, and now all your shows are gonna be sold out now. Like, you know, so you have to hit the road and now check it out and try to get that money back. That was like that was the business model behind a lot of labels putting people, like earlier bands, on there. You know. I definitely heard that. That definitely happened.
It was a lot of fun, man. It was a summer I'll never forget. It was, you know, completely outside the bounds of what I had been accustomed to with underground metal and touring and stuff like that. It was nice. It was cushy.
So now that we got, you know, what it was like to tour like a rock star, take us all the way back now. I want to see, like, your beginnings. I want to hear you, you know, like the first thing I always ask is, when did music, like, become a thing that wasn't just background music? Something made you pay attention. Can you remember any?
For me personally?
Yeah. Take me back to your childhood, dude.
I mean, I my mom and dad divorced when I was 7, and my mom went a little crazy and hung out with some really colorful people. My dad was like a powerlifting coach and kind of one of these fucking, you know, guys who's all about being healthy, and my mom was a completely different spirit. She was a real free spirit, and so he was very stifling to her and to us as kids. And so when they split, my mom went a little crazy, and so I met a lot of really interesting people. And I don't know if you ever seen that movie with what's it called, The Mask, with the kid.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long time.
My life was a lot like that with Cher and Sam Elliott, and, you know, like, my mom hung out with a lot of biker people, and they would always play like Bad Company and Alice Cooper and Black Sabbath and you know, like late 70s, early 80s shit. And so I kind of grew up on that. And then I had you know, I went through the sort of late 70s, early 80s where I listened to I used to love REO Speedwagon. I mean, I used to love Billy fucking Squire. There was a particular record that I really liked. You know, I liked a lot of different. Triumph was like I was a huge fan of, like, all these the Beatles and Pink Floyd. I fucking, you know, I started doing acid and shit at a really young age. So I was like Aerosmith. I loved early Aerosmith. So I had this whole sort of foundation that came before metal, which I've noticed over the years as I talk to young metal people in their late 20s and 30s. I say, you know, where does your where's your musical history start? And then they're like, oh, well, I got, the Death album in 1990, and that's where it starts for them. I'm like, holy fuck. Have you ever heard Black Sabbath? No. What do you mean? you cannot, I'm sorry, you can't be in this club if you haven't heard Black Sabbath. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like, come on, man. It would be like being a poetry, fanatic and not knowing Edgar Allan Poe. I mean,
It's like just jumping a bunch of steps.
Can't ignore that shit.
Yeah.
But I had the Eagles, a lot of weird fucking things Beach Boys, things that I really am grateful that I hung around those colorful people that turned me on to all that music. And also I started smoking pot at 9 years old. And so I really was, listen, I love my mom. She was a great mom, but she looked away for a minute, but she needed to, because she had a really tough time in the early part of my life. And I love her.
Really only 3 years later was when I smoked my first bowl. So it's really not that much. Yeah, I was 12.
I'll be honest. So at 9, I wasn't smoking like I smoked at 13. At 13, I was smoking like, not all day, every day, but I mean, on a regular basis. At 9, I tried it and thought, oh my God, and they would just have parties and shit. Back then, I mean, like you could buy an ounce of pot for $30. There was always big bags of pot sitting around, and I, they would roll joints on tables, and me and my young friends would scoop up the extra shit that didn't go in the paper, and we would save it, and be like, yeah. But I mean, it shaped me, and I just, it gave me a different perspective on life that other people my age didn't have, and my sister had a boyfriend named Greg Skeen, and he used to play acoustic guitar, and he drove like a really jacked up Javelin, like an old school 1970 Javelin. And I just thought he was the coolest fucking guy ever. And so my mom got me a guitar, and it had like 2 strings on it. And she worked at the International House of Pancakes, and the cooks, there was a black guy named Otis that was a cook. And my mom was like, I'm trying to find a guitar for Kelly. And he's like, oh, I have one. And so it was an acoustic guitar that this guy Otis had turned into an electric guitar, carved his name into it. This is not a story in any way. And my mom got it for me for $70, and it had 2 strings. So the first thing I ever learned to play was the Cars. I thought I was. I was like, holy fuck! I can't believe I only had 2 strings, so that was a great song to learn. So but I would watch him play, like, he. It's weird when you're young. You start playing guitar for different reasons than you end up playing guitar for. So to me, I used to think, I was not a popular kid in any way in high school. I thought, man, if I could just play Sweet Madam Blue from Styx at the back of the bus, chicks would dig me. Stupid shit that you think when you're like, 13 or 14 years old. But then I spent a year like taking a lot of acid and smoking a lot of pot, and I stayed in my room for an entire year, and I ended up being better than my sister's boyfriend, like really quick. Nice. and then I got into it's the early Metallica demo, and then there was like a series of dominoes that fell after that for me. Exodus, and I started discovering Exciter and all these different kinds of bands, and then I discovered German sort of death metal and Sodom and stuff like that, and Destruction, and man, just it was so exciting. I wish that kids today could. It was like finding, it was like Easter egg hunting and finding bands like, oh man, hearing Exciter pounding metal, like that shit was so heavy compared to what was being pumped down everybody's throat. So I just like really leaned into heavy music, because I always loved Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and stuff like that. Those are my roots in music. And
that feeling you're talking about of discovering something,
the best,
dude. It is something that I've been like longing for so long. When I used to go down to Amoeba and just flip through the CDs and just looking make a
picking music by covers, like that was another thing too. Looking through albums and going, oh shit, look at this cover. The Maiden albums were like so important. Judas Priest, all that. All that stuff that I see. Really young people that are into. deathcore and this core and that core. They're all into these core things, but back then it was just metal. It was just it's just like, man, look at those fucking guys, man.
It's kind of like pot, almost, like in a lot of ways. It's like it used to just be good pot. It wasn't like fucking White Widow or fucking like the train wreck.
You just dated yourself so hard, dude. White Widow's like a 30-year-old's 40-year-old strain.
That was literally the first strain I ever heard. I was like, White Widow?
Yeah, that was like the shit. That was like the most potent shit when we were.
Listen, young. I'll date all you motherfuckers. Yeah. There was like Red Bud, and there was like Regs and Kill Bud. Actually, those are the two kinds of pot in the mid '80s. Yeah. What kind of pot you got? It's Kill Bud, or you got Regs. Regs is just like fucking regular shit with, with seeds.
Yeah.
Kids today don't know shit about cleaning seeds out of pot.
Oh no, I mean, I used to do that shit all the time. It sucked.
But pot today is just wow.
And the ones you forget, and all of a sudden you just hear a pop when it lights.
Remember all like the rumors about like, oh, if you smoke a seed, dude, you're gonna be sterile like forever. You
seeds and stems.
They would make all these things. Yeah, you go impotent. Like if you smoke a seed, dude, you can't smoke a seed, man. It'll fuck you up.
Jesus, you hang out with too many Christians, man.
Christian influenced people.
Yeah, that's fucking horseshit. But I wish that quality of pot had been around when Atheist was writing sort of Piece of Time and Unquestionable Presence, because it would have been even crazier than it was for the time. Because that was a big part of our songwriting process, was smoking pot. We had a warehouse, like I don't know if you have, I don't know, you guys are all in different places, but like a storage garage, and we would like put carpet on the walls and build a stage, and we would show up there every night, and it was sometimes we would roll into practice and there'd be 80 to 100 people sitting there, and they would watch us. They would sit there on the floor and get high and do whatever they wanted to do away from their parents, all like under 18. And we were all like 16, 17, 18 years old, doing drugs, tripping, everybody was doing something different. But we would sit and work on songs for 6 hours, and people just watch us argue and yell at each other and bitch and complain. And then finally, end up, we wrote Piece of Time and all those songs that way. And we never worried about anybody that was watching us. We just did our thing. But it was very tense. So without weed, it would have been violent. So we, so many times pot has been a really direct influence on the music of Atheist. And, people try to discount that a little bit. Oh, why would you tell people, to smoke pot? And I'm just telling you, that's how it went down. That's the real way that we wrote shit. Some people think of Atheist as like this band that, like we're in a lab and we, are concerned about modes and technicality. And we just, we didn't. We just stumbled into some complexity that came from the earth. From weed.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I definitely, I don't use it as a crutch for writing, but it's like, I feel I can get deeper in a creative space.
And there's nothing wrong with that. People that don't
smoke pot,
it's like, when people bust my balls about it, I just think, listen, how do you get through your day? Well, I go to Starbucks and I have a coffee. Bing, fucking, that's the same goddamn thing. Is what I'm saying.
Shit.
You fucking drink coffee. I don't like coffee. I fucking like weed. That's what stimulates my brain and causes me to be the guy that I am and the musician that I am. It's not the only reason, but it stimulates it.
I like a good hippie speedball, a good big cup of coffee and then a joint. That together is fucking.
See, I'm a Mountain Dew guy. So
nice.
Okay,
you will find Mountain Dew thanked on Piece of Time. If you look at the thanks list, the first thing that on the thanks list is Kelly would like to thank Mountain Dew and marijuana. And that's not a lie. Look at
perfect, dude.
And we are 30 some odd years later.
It's like, who's this guy? Spicoli?
Hey man, I came before Spicoli, motherfucker.
Fuck Spicoli.
I'm old, man. Everybody has things, man, that they that matter to them. Everybody has a key to their car, and that's the key to my car, man. It makes my car fucking start and get rolling. And
hell yeah, dude.
But it's never been something that has ever affected my life in a negative way. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like heroin or meth or coke. Like, I hate cocaine. I fucking hate it. You know, because I don't like what it does to people. I've lost so many friends to that shit, and
Oh yeah, dude.
you know, I just, you know, weed is just you know, it's always been misunderstood, and you know, it's got a lot of really, really great qualities, and so do mushrooms and acid. You know, a lot of people with depression and mental health issues should really look into microdosing mushrooms, because it's a revolutionary sort of treatment for mental illness. And so if you're out there watching and you're feeling that, just consider microdosing, not, you know, fucking tripping your balls
Blasting
off.
off,
About taking a small amount.
You want to get to that giggly zone. That's as far as you would want to get. Because I mean, dude, how can you not be in a good mood when you're in that giggly zone before the fucking shit hits the fan? You're just
you know,
it's fucking great.
There's a huge difference between microdosing and obviously going full blown tripping. But yeah, I think that it's, you know, a lot of people have found a lot of comfort in doing that.
I think
so,
Joseph worked for MAPS for a while. Joseph actually worked for MAPS that actually helped study the you know, like mushrooms and helping, and you know.
I interned,
Oh yeah.
At the time, the main research they were focusing on that they're just kind of finalizing is MDMA for PTSD. So that was their focus, but that was like a legitimate. That was like a strategic idea, because that was like, this is the easiest way through legalization. Other companies were doing mushrooms for depression, and I worked closely with them, but my focus was MDMA for PTSD.
Well, in your research, you probably found that MDMA was brilliant for marriage counseling. It was originally used for people that were having trouble in their marriage. And if have you guys all done MDMA?
Yeah. I've actually smoked it in a blunt. I've never actually taken the pill.
That's weird.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I just took it as a powder.
That was in my experimentation mode.
You just had to be different. You just had to be different.
Hey, no, I didn't. I didn't have anything there. They just passed it to me, dude.
Anthony's like, I put it on.
Never known anybody to smoke it. Like, that's crazy. But MDMA is like, you know, anybody that's ever done it knows that it's a truth serum. And it's really brilliant for couples that have problems communicating and expressing their real feelings. And, you know, when you get into different scenarios in marriage, whether it be, you know, your sex life or kids or whatever, it's, you know, those lines of communication sort of bottle up a little bit. And
those are like, it's like a 6-session therapy thing, or 6 therapy sessions, and one off and one on the MDMA. They stagger it like that.
Yeah, well, there's like a preliminary preparation, and then a session, and then a integration, and then they do that repeated a few times. That's in like a legal protocol. So, and then there's underground therapy, which, you know, therapists kind of work with the patient however they want to go about it.
That's how you did the mushrooms? That's how you did the mushroom research?
The mushroom research was happening at Johns Hopkins. Now it's happening at like 30 institutions around the world. It's the same modality with like intro, session, integration, all with a therapist there.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's like, I think you know, the legalization movement and also the movement to treat people with psychedelics has made more progress than any other progressive issue in modern politics.
Did you get a score on that? Were you doing that for college or something?
It was actually between undergrad and grad school for me, and then I carried it into grad school for a while. So
Did you get a good grade?
I mean, it helped me get into grad school, so that was nice. Yeah,
success.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, right now it's interesting because big pharma is really investing in it. So now there's this whole big question of like, can you preserve it even if big pharma gets into it? Because there's always been that sort of underground suspicion of that. So that's the new question. And I'm still invested in researching that particular question. So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I have a feeling. I'm optimistic. I think it'll be better than the treatments that have existed that big pharma has put out for years and years. So I'm still optimistic that it'll be a revolution in healthcare. So
yeah, I think with music, I think you know, dipping into different parts of your brain is a positive thing that, you know, I would have loved to have imagined somebody like Prince tripping on acid and take him in a studio and be like, what would Prince do tripping on mushrooms? You know, what would imagine animals as leaders if you got them really high and fucking throw 'em in the studio, you know, like what do they do? You know, like when you take somebody to a different place. I don't know. Maybe those guys get high already. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I've gotten them high before.
Okay, all right. So bad example, but I don't know. The guys in Rush, pretty sure they
no, that's a great
smoke
example.
pot like we smoke pot. So
Yeah.
imagine getting them really high and taking them in the studio and just be like, "Come on, let's jam." You know, like I think they would find different rooms in their brain, and that's what it's always been for me, especially the lyrics. When I sit down to write lyrics, it's just like it's like walking down a hallway with a bunch of locked doors, and I smoke, and boom, they all open up.
Yeah.
And I look in this room, and I'm like, oh, look at that phrase, and holy shit, look at this phrase, and the things that I would never say in my normal life. There's, you know, plays on words that don't come into my normal
vocabulary.
My normal vocabulary in discussing things with people, and I love that. I love that. You know, I can come up with phrases like that, and then once I'm sort of not in that state of mind anymore, I can appreciate those things, and I almost learn from my own lyrics, because a lot of people will be like, well, what's that about? And I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll have to sit and read it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm still that way. I have to really like read the lyrics and be like, oh, okay, I think I'm kind of trying to say this. And with this line, I'm trying to say that. But I hate to be very literal with lyrics. I like to leave it, you know, sort of open to interpretation as much as I can. But there are moments that it focuses in on a, you know, on a specific sort of meaning. And but there's nothing worse than when people go, well, what's it about? It's like, well,
yeah,
I don't know, that's a hard thing to do. You know, some people can do that. I can't with my lyrics.
It's kind of a lazy question.
Yeah,
it is a lazy question. I love to be able to I love to be able to watch or read something and through my filter figure it out on my own. You know, like what is
or make it your own.
Yeah,
you know, that's what I like about it. You know, I could be saying something, and I liken that to, you know, people interpreting the Bible. Like whoever, you know, all those things that are in the Bible were whoever said them or meant them, you know, however much is true, probably had one thing in mind. Somebody else interpreted it as, you know, some preacher in 2022 in Louisiana saying something and go, well, you know, what he means is this, and they twist it and turn it into their own, you know, till it works for them. I've had a ton of people over the years be like, oh, is this song about this and that? And I'm like, not at all.
Yeah.
You know, and I imagine, you know, if I died and people found my lyrics, you know, maybe 100 years from now, and they'll be like, oh, what he meant to say was this, or what he meant by this was this, and it's like, no, that's not what I meant at all. You know,
but that's cool that they found, you know, something in there that you didn't.
Yeah, but if it meant that to them, and it made them think in a particular way, or if there's one line in a song that made them have a oh shit moment, and they went in a different direction as a result that was positive, man, that's what music is all about. Think about what music has done for people, therapy wise, and just in life, you know. And it's just this it's never credited, you know. Music is so disrespected by other careers, and people just look at art and music as like this derelict, dirty, stinky thing, but every fucking one of you love it. You all love paintings. Totally. You all love music. And if we all stopped making music and stopped creating art, your fucking life would be incredibly boring. Fucking dorky ass people that you know that you know what I mean, that don't appreciate how important, you know what I mean. Like I love the fact that Europe will send a young kid 16 years old to college, 17 years old out of high school into college, and pay for his dream to be a cello player or be a violinist or a guitar player. They'll help him pursue that dream. That shit doesn't happen in America. It's like, you want to be a musician? Like, what do you want to be, homeless?
How are you gonna make money? Yeah,
that's how they look at it. Like it's not a you know, like a valid career. And God, imagine music. I mean, people just don't realize how much music is a part of everyday life. If you removed all music from life, can you imagine commercials?
It'd be creepy as fuck, dude.
Mall, everywhere. It would just there's no music.
There'd be no humans.
How is that not more valued? It's almost like air in a way. You know, like people don't appreciate being able to breathe until they can't.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
And music,
that's crazy. Yeah,
will never sort of disappear, so people never have to do without it. And I think that's unfortunate, because if they did, if there was like a 5-day period where no music was played, I think people would suddenly realize, wow, we should maybe help these folks out a little bit. We should take the guy from Spotify and fucking choke him the fuck out, and make sure that he rewrites the contracts for how much he's paying the bands, because it's disgusting to watch this one guy be a billionaire, to come into our, to music, to come into a game that was already underway.
I noticed you guys aren't on. You guys aren't on there, right? I looked you guys up.
Yeah, but it's not for the, it's not for the protest. I would love to lie and be like, yeah, it's because we're protesting Spotify. We're in between our licensing deal with Season of Mist. For the last 8 years, they've had the licensing of our catalog. Got it. So now we're about to sign a brand new deal, which we're really excited about. It's a much bigger, better place to be for all of our records and future records. Fuck yeah. So we're excited. We'll be announcing that really soon, and there's a lot of really great things coming for Atheist in the next couple of years. They would have actually probably already unfolded if not for COVID. But
definitely,
I'm excited for the future of Atheist for sure.
Hell yeah! Well, awesome. That's future of Atheist, but let's just go back into the past a little bit more, dude. I want to know, like, when you met those guys and stuff. How did you guys all meet up? Did you go to school together? I know there's previous incarnations of the band, names are different, all this kind of stuff. I want to hear you take us through that. Like,
I mean, the
Ravage.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was the same guys. Roger, Rand, myself. Well, one different guitar player. I mean, so Ravage was really, we were 15, 16 years old, made a really horrible demo tape called Rotting in Hell. It's fucking stupid and really cheesy, and it wasn't really that many significant riffs. A couple of them ended up finding their way onto Piece of Time, but we revised them a lot. We were just young kids learning how to play, and literally all four of us learning how to play together. And Rand Berkey, our guitar player on those records, he came from California, so he kind of brought this influence of different music that we had ever heard, bands like Trouble, and I don't know, he just brought a lot. In those days, it was really hard to discover music. It's just, I can't even put it into an understanding for young people how lucky they are to be able to just go right to their computer and be like, bing, and find 10 bands that sound like this. Like back then, it was literally like, holy fuck, I found this, I got this cassette, and it's like, and we would all sit and listen to it. And I'm sorry, did that pop up on your screen like that? There we go. We good? Oh, something popped up on my screen.
Oh shit!
But I mean, just discovering a band, we would all be like, back then there was no cell phones, so you would call people and be like, "Hey man, have you ever heard fucking Exodus, or have you ever heard Anthrax?" And and it seems passé to talk about now, but back then, really cool. SOD. I remember when SOD came out. Yeah. Like, holy shit, because we loved punk rock, and we also loved metal, and then we had our roots in power metal and older rock, like Rush and Yes, and also we as a band also loved Frank Zappa and Spyro Gyra and stuff like that, and Mahavishnu Orchestra. And so we had this really wide, and it was so, as sort of young guys, we found we were sort of kindred spirits, and we would just sit in a warehouse 6 days a week and just play and play and play, and we got better and better, but we got better together. And so Roger Patterson had a twin brother, and when I was 13, we used to sell newspapers door to door, and he also sold newspapers door to door, but he lived in a town next to me. So there used to be this big competition between 12 and 13-year-olds, just who could sell the most newspapers, and I was up against those two guys. That was 3 years before we ever got together in a band. So fast forward 3 years, we're playing 3 years forward. We're playing at a club we had kind of a singer. I didn't always sing Ravage. We had like a Paul Di'Anno kind of singer in the very, very beginning. We only played covers. We played like Piranha from Exodus, and we played Psalm 9 from Trouble, and we played Die by the Sword and Hell Awaits, and a couple of other, and Wrathchild from Maiden. So we were playing, but without a bass player. And Roger and his twin brother showed up to this club, and they had grown up. They had leather jackets on and punk rock singing. And so anyway, we were like, "Oh shit, do you remember?" And when we remembered each other, and then a couple of days later, just got in a room together, and suddenly he was our bass player. And then we moved really sort of quickly in that 8 to 12-month period after that into writing songs, and On This Sleigh was like a very early, super young, immature song, but it's funny that's still in the set. I mean, I wrote that when I was 16 years old. I'm 53 now, so
wow.
And it still fucking bangs, man. I mean, so there's, in a live setting, it's great.
So cool.
So cool.
I feel lucky.
I covered that song with my high school band too. There's a video out there of us playing.
That's awesome.
That. Yeah. I did your vocals.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah,
but those lyrics were just super immature, but I don't even think about it when I sing it now. it's like a reaction as opposed to me thinking about what the lyrics are. They're so woven into my soul, But when I actually think about the lyrics, I think, oh man.
I think about the shit I was writing at 15 too. It was terrible.
The sound of twisted flesh, it's like, oh come on, dude. But I mean that's where we were back then. It was all about trying to be shocking, And then, so we were young too, we were stupid and we did some cheesy things, but we really pulled it together on Unquestionable Presence, and really kind of I'm proud of the first second and the last second, all the way through that whole.
Oh yeah, dude.
Piece of Time has some moments on it that I'm like, sorry, we were fucking
yeah, but I mean that's
Proud of it,
being your own worst critic, because Piece of Time is a fucking killer record, dude.
I love it, man. But there's some moments on it that are like, kind of Peter Panther a little bit.
Unquestionable was actually my first introduction to you guys. Previous guitar player of Severed, I'm actually forgetting his name right now. He was just a session guy or whatever, did some tours with him, but he gave me this CD, and it was like a demo of a Martyr song that they did before, or it was after Warp Zone. Is that the name of the album?
Yeah.
Warp Zone. Yeah. So the demos for the album after that, he had a couple of them, and then he also had Unquestionable Presence on that CD. So I literally got the fucking sick Martyr demo, and then was just blasted in the face with Unquestionable Presence.
It's a weird record, man. What year was that?
Oh fuck, probably like 2003, 4.
So imagine what that was like in '91. People were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, dude, and your guys' style, like being from the Florida scene, you guys are a standout.
Yeah, it was we were outsiders for sure, because it was weird to be a part of a scene, almost like a Seattle movement, but it was a death metal movement in Tampa back in the day. But I always tell people, like, as much as I'd love to be like, yeah, we were part of the Rat Pack, but we weren't. We were, but we weren't. And within that Rat Pack of death metal bands that came out, did Deicide, Obituary, all these guys that had a sort of a cohesive spirit together. We were just kind of stuck outside. So was Nasty Savage. Nasty Savage is the band that really was were like the uncles to us, to all of us. Obituary, Morbid Angel, everybody. They were they don't get enough credit for really sculpting the Tampa scene, Tampa death metal scene, because they showed us, like, don't play covers, play original music, sell it out of the back of your car, play shows, build people. We watched them, and we would all go to those shows back in the mid '80s. We would go to the Sunset Club or Ruby's, and nobody really moshed back then. It was all about headbanging. So people would pile on like 15 people deep from the back of the club to the stage and just fucking headbang. And Nasty Savage was crazy. They had a show. Ronnie was crazy, smashing TVs, and they had for us, we really admire them because they musically had some really kind of intricate shit. I mean, their bass player, they had a bass player named Dezo Bartha who Roger loved, and he's a really good bass player. And we just always had a feeling that bass was more important than a lot of metal was allowing, except for bands like Iron Maiden. But see, Steve Harris was such a huge influence on us, and Geddy Lee and all these. So it was always just woven into all of us that bass is not going to get buried in this band.
Yeah.
But having a bass player like Roger, as he grew, we realized, wow, man, he would come up with these riffs that were like really hard for us to play on guitar. There was no way to really do that, and so we would orchestrate around it, and that's what ended up sort of becoming a template for the atheist music, where everybody was playing something different. Every now and then we'd line up and fucking crush, and then we'd all separate and go off. And that's how an atheist song is. It's like, oh my God, what is going on? Or pow, fucking, it hits you for a minute, and then everybody starts playing something different, but it's all working together. And that's orchestration, when you have strings and trumpets and sax.
It sounds like a jazz style. Like that's kind of how jazz works.
It's of that spirit, and only much more violent and
and
probably less complex. Jazz is way harder to play, but we just did the best we could to incorporate that sort of thing. We just thought once we did that and we got a reaction from the people that we respected, then we just kind of built on that. And so songs like Piece of Time and I'm Deny from the first album were songs that were when we were first touching on this. Oddly, Merciful Fate was a really big, important part of the song Satan's Fall. For me, was like, fuck. It was so. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with Merciful Fate too much, dude. So I gotta say, I know. I'm sorry, dude.
Dude, I love.
Dude, I know about Black Sabbath. Don't worry.
Oh my God! But you guys all kind of quieted up about Merciful Fate.
No, I know. King
really
Diamond. No. It's
No.
It's a truth.
Not King Diamond.
It's a truth.
Merciful
Fate. I know.
Huge difference, man. Huge difference. I mean, it is. Oh God. So okay, please do me a favor, as my new friends.
Okay.
After this, please go back and listen to "Don't Break the Oath."
Okay.
And
I've heard
and Melissa.
A long time ago though.
Fuck, man. Well, listen to them at a decent volume. And I just Satan's Fall is I don't know how long it is, but it's a journey. It starts one way, cruises through this middle section, and then ends a completely different way. And we were just like,
nice.
Yeah, that was so cool, man. And obviously we didn't pursue the high vocal thing. That was a King Diamond thing. That's his thing. He did it so well, and we just loved it, man. It was like such an important part. Don't Break the Oath is a dark record, man. It's like, even now when I listen to it, it still gives me the creeps a little bit, which is hard, because you kind of, things that were creepy to you when you were younger, today's music is so crazy and production has changed so much, in the way that music is recorded these days, that it's hard to play. Even our records don't sound as good as modern production.
I think if you've gone through that, though, if you've lived through getting those productions and getting to, being 37 years old, I'm old enough to have, been very conscious of everything that was going on in the early 90s and all that stuff too. So, I guess when everything was, not Pro Tools and more natural sound and just like the best it could be at the time, but you just get accustomed to how production was back then. So now, I love lo-fi. I like to listen to demo as long as it's not, fucking
complete shit,
piercing my fucking ear. I like to listen to old shit.
Think about Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales.
Yeah.
That's a shitty sounding record, production-wise.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody changed that, I'd be fucking furious.
Right?
I don't want to hear it with today's production. The charm of that record is, like it's just dirty and nasty, and that's kind of one of the things that, not to be a smoothly segue into my new band, but Till the Dirt, this new band that I have, is a lot like that. It's dirty, it's incorrect, it's not fucking, it's flawed.
It's heavy problems. As fuck though too.
You know what I mean? It has problems, and I like that. I mean, those problems cause tension, and I'm so fucking excited about this band. I've been sitting on it for a year, but it's it's all music that I wrote over the course of COVID during the first lockdown, and where I was literally stuck at home. And when we were talking about how weed influenced Atheist, I actually never in my entire life ever drank cocktails at home, and I never ever wrote music after having a shot or drinking any alcohol at all.
Mm-hmm.
So COVID, we were stuck at home, and so I would have a couple of Jaeger bombs, and I got a new studio set up to be able to record at home, and that's where Till the Dirt came from, man. It became this more violent, erratic, way different than Atheist, but I don't know. There's moments that you can tell it's the guy from Atheist. I think. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You guys can say better than I can. I don't know. I'm close to it, but
well, it's fresh. It's fresh because I was listening to it today. You know, in preparation for the episode.
Thank you.
And I did listen to it when you sent it back to me a few weeks ago too, and I remember liking it then.
Different.
It seems like it's a culmination of a lot of things that you've already, not that you've already done, but like it's almost like a what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Homage to your previous work, but like with a new twist on it, because there's definitely, like with your clean vocals.
Yeah, I could never do that with Atheist. Like I would never just, and it's not a disrespect to Atheist, but it's just Atheist is where it needs to be. People, some people don't know, I have a singing voice, but it's
a good one too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But it's I couldn't do that in Atheist because I think that would be intrusive. So this comes out like, so you're right. It is an homage to my qualities, so to speak. Like there's dirty clean, and then there's clean, and there's full blown black metal moments, which I'm not a black metal guy in any way. Like I don't have any ties to black metal. But here's the thing: like if you're a real purist of death metal, you'll know that my vocals come from Malay, from Creator, from Smear, Destruction. Like when I was getting started, I knew I could not go like. I didn't have a great deep. I didn't have that. It's not as good as like Corpse and all those guys. You know what I mean? I've never been that guy. Yeah. But the high, and I always liked that higher witchy shit. So but I was doing that a long time ago, and then went away, came back in 2010, and sort of black metal wasn't around in the late 80s necessarily. And but that higher witchy kind of vocal became synonymous with black metal. So me coming back to that and just, it's my world anyway. It has inadvertent black metal qualities because the music is very fast, way faster than Atheist. And, but I'm also using a lot of, some people have sort of said it's sort of like Alice in Gothenburg. So it has a lot of Seattle qualities, and it has a lot of, it's like this, but it really happened honestly and purely because, like I said, it happened over a 3-month period. I wrote like 20 songs and recorded them all. I did all the guitars and everything, and then I pulled in a band later to play the parts that I wrote on the demos. So I have the demos, and then we have the album that we did. But I was super proud of it. And
so that's all you wrote everything on the album.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. And the guys, the guys in the band that are in the band with me now are the same guys that play with me in Atheist. So, and they're all just monster musicians. Can't say enough about them. They just did the Cattle Decapitation tour with me, before COVID happened, and they play. They're Berkeley kids, so they're fucking super smart, and I have a lot of respect for them, and they play the Atheist music amazingly. But whenever I had done the demos, I sent it to them. I was like, so I'm going to start a new band. Will you guys be in the band? I didn't even want to go off and find anybody else, but I did have a lot of guests on the album. I have John Longstreth is playing drums on Insist and Demand, and Jeff Loomis does a great solo on Privilege, and then I have Kyle Sokol's playing bass on a song, and Steve DiGiorgio. We love Steve. Steve D.
Yeah, he's been
on. I don't know who that is.
Steve D played on Outside the Spiral is the song that Steve D played on, and when I first did it, like it happened in like in a 3-week period. I had these 3 songs, and so I sent it to Gene Hoglan. I sent it to Steve DiGiorgio. I sent it to Terrence from Suffo. I sent it to fucking all these different, my peers, people I respect, and I knew that they would tell me the truth. They would be like, "Nah, man, this is not good." But I was just like, "This shit seems weird. This seems different. It's like a different kind of death metal. It's like a different kind of, not even a different kind of death metal, but just a, it's really extreme, but it's got these, vocal qualities that are like if Lane Staley was in a death metal band."
That's and then what I was thinking, dude. Like Lane, I definitely.
It's like that. I don't mean it to be that way. But
no, but that's what that way, you sing. However, your voice comes out. So
if you look back on my catalog, you'll see that I didn't borrow it from Lane. It's just some people have similar tones.
No, totally. And when you play, there's parts too that also make me feel like, you know, it's a Mastodon kind of feel with your vocals over the riffs that you're singing. So it's just like
definitely not
everybody that,
as much as I know those guys are probably good. I've only heard like little bits and pieces of mess.
Just a feel. I'm just saying like the vibe, not really necessarily like their riffing style or whatever, but I just get that like.
I love Soundgarden and I love Seattle so much, and
That's
I think
awesome.
that, I mean, I think a lot lot of death metal people love Seattle and the good Seattle, not the
we
bullshit.
Definitely do, dude.
Casey's fucking huge on grunge, bro. He
imagine
actually
you combine those because they're both very underground and they're very dark and they're very polluted, and you know what I mean. And but I didn't mean for that to happen. But that's what I love about music. Like I like I said, I was at home. I was stuck at home. At the time he was 4 years old. My wife was a bartender and she was working all night. And I was like, so I would start a song at 7 o'clock. And by the time she got home at 3 a.m., I would have all the guitars done, all the drums. And I was using loops, you know, like drum loops. And I found these really amazing drum loops. And so next thing you know, I had these songs. And then Scott Burns became involved. So like that's what really changed it. For me, it was like, you know, we hadn't talked in 25 years since back in the day. And so when we first reconnected, we reconnected as a friend of ours named Tim Hubbard, a mutual friend. Tim Hubbard did all the old school Deicide photos and Obituary and Atheist. And he's like the local photo legend in Tampa. And he was like, you know, so, you know, Scott, you know, Scott's been very removed from the scene for all those years. He went on to a different career in software and has had a lot of success. But I was like, oh man, I want to talk to Scott. I haven't talked to him in a long time. So long story short, we get on the phone and we're talking and having a great conversation, just talking about things that I wish that everybody in the world could hear, because they were like, Scott Burns has seen the earth be created. You know, if you're a death metal fan and you love the globe of death metal, Scott Burns was there for each nook and cranny fucking of it being created. You know, literally a fly on the wall for all of your favorite old school death metal records. Not only a fly on the wall, but you know, mixing the, you know, creating,
bringing it to fruition, reality.
Enough about him, like just such an important fucking. So important.
I'd love to have him on here, dude. He's your homie, dude. Maybe we can talk about it after the show.
So like when the Till the Dirt record comes out, fucking he'll be doing some press. So I'll definitely fucking, you know, he's gonna help me.
We should have like Steve DiGiorgio, Scott Burns, and fucking Kelly Shaefer on for a fucking episode.
That would be killer. That would be a lot of fun.
What's the name of the song on the music video? I saw it a bit ago and I can't remember what the name was, but it's really cool that
there's a demo version of Outside the Spiral.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Steve DiGiorgio actually did the album version of that, and I'm real excited about it. He plays a fretless bass on it, so it gives it a little different vibe. But it's called Outside the Spiral. That's the name of the album. And so we have some really big announcements coming up with that really, really soon. I wish I could.
Sounds like really
share with it, but it's going to be it's going to be. I think, you know, in a lot of ways, I think it's going to make a, you know, really, really good impact. It's fresh and it's different and it's new and it's modern. So when I said to Scott on that conversation, I was like, hey man, I have some new music, and he was like, oh man. He told me later, I didn't know this at the time, but he told me later, he was like, oh, we had such a good conversation, you know, and I didn't want to, you know, it's hard when, and I understand this completely. People go, oh man, we check out my new band, and if you're a brutally honest person, and Scott is, and I am, I can't lie to you. Like if you play me something that sucks, man, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry, man. You know, that shit's out of gas. And people get mad about that and think, fuck you, you know, and it's like, well, don't ask me then. You know, I mean, I'm just giving you my opinion. You're the one that asked for it. And so Scott was like worried that I was gonna send him some subpar shit. And when he got the demos, he was like, to paraphrase him, it was just essentially, he was like, hey, I just feel like this is something different and new, and it made him want to you know, stick his toe back in the pool of what was going on. Not in continuance, but as one last ride with an old school friend, myself, and somebody that's, you know, we've made we made 2 amazing records together. A Piece of Time and Unquestionable Presence, and here we are 30 some odd years later, and he just felt like it, you know, if it had been like just rehashed, it's just me sort of doing what I do with Atheist, like he definitely wouldn't have been interested, you know, as he said. But it's got a lot of just things you're not supposed to do. The Till the Dirt record has things you're not supposed to do. Like I'm not supposed to sing the melodies over the top of blast beats that I am on the record. You know, there's some crazy shit. And John Longstreet's drums on the song called Insistent Demand are really just. I really wanted him to. I knew that the song structures were something that John was never really typically involved with you know, with Origin and all that. It's very, you know, there's no melodic vocals sort of happening ever. And I wanted him to be out of his comfort zone, you know. So I sent him the music, and I sent him like a demo drum track, and he didn't get it at first, and so he just he created one way of playing the song, and I was like, oh, did you get the demo? And he was like, no, I didn't get the example. So once he got it, he just played in a way that I don't feel like he's played on any other song ever. If you're a Longstreet fan, and I am, I was super proud to have him on the record. And Jeff Loomis, I mean, like, so we, you know, he was, I think, as he told me a story that he when he was 15 years old, he came to see us in Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Metal Fest with Cynic and us, and I don't, there's other bands that played. Broken Hope, I think, played that, and it was way back in the day. Eric Greif, who was Death's manager, he rest in peace. He just died recently. He was the promoter of that, and so and there's just been there's so much history. I find myself I sound like one of those old fishermen. You know, they're like, we're gonna. The one cruise I caught that fish, it was that big. I catch myself sounding like the old fisherman, man.
Nice.
So funny.
Anyway,
I have a question
a lot
for
of cool
you.
shit.
I know that you're like from the old school and stuff, and you're, you know, talking about, you know, you got to know these bands before you know these bands. Is there any new bands nowadays? I mean, you know, coming from where you come from, and you've seen the whole evolution of the whole genre shift into a certain thing. Is there a
lot
new
of
band?
really good ones? Igor, fucking love
yeah,
Igor.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
You know, as I spoke of before, Animals as Leaders, I think fucking brilliant. You know, like amazing, breaking new ground. You know, making me feel differently.
Definitely.
Oh Jesus, there's so many. I mean, I actually am a huge Deftones fan. I really feel like, you know,
I'm
they
obsessed.
don't give enough. Gore to me was like fucking beautiful.
I loved Gore. Everyone talks crap about it. It's one of my
so
favorite.
good,
I love
man.
It. Yeah,
there are moments on Gore that are just devastating, man, and then super beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with that. Metalheads need to get the fuck over that. Like,
right?
You know, that emotion exists in you. Don't pretend like it doesn't. You know, and Chino has a lot of balls to do what he does, and
I agree.
take people on that journey. And it's hard to do, man, because he's standing on a real quiet street corner. You know what I mean? Like going, all right, I'm still doing my thing. It's Chino, and I fucking respect it a lot. I love that. And Gojira, you know, I've watched Gojira's. We played with them in 2007, and we were sitting backstage and heard them for the first time, and we were like, holy shit, who the fuck is that?
That live show is insane, man. It's like one of the heaviest things.
In 2007, even they were impressive, but these days, I mean, they're you know, I can't say enough about them. I just think they're really gonna be, I mean, you hate to say things like the next Metallica, but I think they're gonna have that kind of lasting impact because each record becomes bigger and bigger, you know, but they're also
didn't they open for Metallica too?
They did, yeah. Metallica took them out, and it was a huge thing. But they have, I mean, to see them, I just saw them live recently, and they're just, you know, I mean, just some of those riffs. Yeah, I mean, it's as devastating as it needs to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, how much can you blow something up? You know, it's just I think they came up with something really. They have their own sound. You know, and there's probably a ton that I'm forgetting, but I just like shit that's played well. It's good, you know, and I actually like things that Code Orange has done a lot. I'm not really into sort of hardcore that much, you know, and maybe they're not considered that hardcore, but Knocked Loose and Code Orange, I think, have moments of.
Is there a Mountain Dew Code Orange?
There should be now.
He's gonna be here all week. Try the video.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I just, you know, I mean, I think I listen to Sirius Radio a lot, and I try to, you know, just over the last year, I was just trying to like because once I made the Till the Dirt record, before that, I wasn't listening to any modern metal in the last 2 years prior to that. So once I finished that record, I was like, where the fuck is this going to fit in? And so while riding around during COVID, and I'm delivering food, because you can't tour, you have to do shit. So delivering food, I'm riding around the car, listening to music all day, and listening to modern releases. I really think Ginger is a fucking good band. Like I think musically, like, I mean, aside, her vocals are great and unique, but musically, those guys are fucking playing. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
They're playing some shit there, man, and that doesn't need to go unnoticed. So even though they're getting a lot of popularity, and there's a lot of people in social media love to just pile on and bash, but I think they're fucking good, man. So
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
people can think I'm a dork
man.
or whatever. I like them. I think they're fucking great.
No.
And
That's what. As I get older, dude, I don't give a fuck what people think about what I
Yeah.
listen to, dude. Like,
isn't it funny how this culture is, in one 24-hour period, you can say the wrong shit and everybody goes, wrong, fucking dork, and it's like, but I don't care either. I mean, I really don't. I have, stand behind my choices. Like, I like, I like a lot of things that are, I think that, it's funny how people crush Slipknot. And you can't listen to those old Slipknot records and tell me it's just pussy shit. It's just, it's fucking soft.
Yeah.
hell no, dude.
There's 9 fucking maniacs on stage fucking getting after it.
Yeah.
So you can say what you want fucking in your mom's basement, but fucking where's your band?
It's usually jealousy.
You want to follow them? You want to get on stage and follow those 9 fucking lunatics?
Jealousy after that. They blew up so quickly, a lot of people are jealous. They're like, what the fuck? Why are
nothing
they?
worse
They're
than
wearing a bunch of masks.
17-year-old kid in his mom's fucking house fucking talking shit,
Right.
Yeah, it's not fucking metal. Shut up.
Fuck off,
I mean,
dude. That's the whole. They were one of my stepping stone bands to get to death metal.
My friend fucking Monty Connor fucking signed those guys, and we got a lot of Monty Connor.
Man.
Shout out to Monty.
Oh
Monty was somebody who also was supportive of Till the Dirt. So I've got a lot of really good people, sort of behind this this new band. I'm excited for everybody to hear it. Not to take you back to that.
No, it's all
good.
Hey,
it's my next thing, and it really is. I hope that people will check it out because it's honest as fuck, and it's, like I said, it's imperfect, but it's brutal, and you guys have heard some of it, yeah?
I've listened to all of it, and it makes me continue to pay attention.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, man. That's all I can ask.
It kind of reminded me of Jerry Cantrell a bit at parts,
Really
stoked on that.
Never heard a Jerry Control record fucking like that.
No, I know. But, I mean, you're talking about the Alice in Chains,
Alice in Chains, yeah. Well, Jerry's Control solo records are pretty, I don't know, I guess folkier.
Yeah, totally. I just feel like your voice on those part was cool.
No, but I think that when you combine those two dreary fucking movements of music, not dreary in a bad way, but just dark, gloomy. They have a lot of similarities that I think haven't been bridged enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are Mastodon. The stuff that I have heard, I can see where you would say something like that, like, but only not.
And when I'm talking about that, it was like literally one section of one song. I got like just the same vibe. But I mean, really, it's like I couldn't really pinpoint everything too, which is also a good thing, which shows that it's got a fresh thing going on. That it's kind of like it kept me on my toes while I'm at work, cool. and I was having a great time with it, and there's some heavy as fucking shit stuff.
I think
heavy as fucking shit stuff, dude. That's fucking sick wording.
Good moniker, right?
But no, it was like, oh, dude, I'm fucking. That involuntary headbang that happens, dude, and you're like, oh yeah, dude.
You hope that it happens. As a musician, you hope you get that out of people when they listen.
And I got a few of those on the record, dude. So
it's a pretty nasty record, man. I hopefully it'll be out before the end of this year, and but certainly super proud of it, and it's gnarly. Fucking
yeah. So, can we go back again?
Sure.
All right. So
take me back, man.
Right on, brother. So talk about some like tours that were happening around the Unquestionable Presence era, and obviously I would like to touch on what happened with you guys when Roger passed away and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was 91. That was our sort of first time out there touring. It was with Candlemass. So it's interesting to talk about it now because you can really see just how fucking weird that is. Knowing Candlemass and knowing Atheist, like what a polar opposite tour that is. I mean, but we had a great time together, and it worked. It was fun, and we love those guys, man. But they're, it was hard for people were coming there to see Candlemass. They weren't coming to see us. They kind of heard, maybe, they might have read an article here and there, but definitely they were so confused by us. But, in some cities we had success. And I remember in Minneapolis back in that time, was a city that there were certain cities that kind of got it. But for the most part, we were just playing in front of people that were like, the hell? If you're a doom metal fan,
right,
and you hear Atheist and you've never heard our album and you're standing in front of us, and it was probably a mess for them, but we had a good time, and it was a lot of fun. And so there was another two, after that tour was over, we were in California, and we had to get home. We had to drive this van all the way back to Florida. We had to try to get there in less than 3 days to save like a day's rent on the van, which seems so insignificant now after losing Roger. But our driver, the main guy that drove our whole thing, he drove as long as he could, and he got real tired, and another guy started driving, and he only drove for a short time, but he was not a good driver, and he crashed. We were all sleeping. It was like 10:30 in the morning just outside of New Orleans, and so we lost Roger, and I got fucked up, my arm and my leg, and so it was, it was tragic, man. It was my best friend. I lived, we were roommates, and he was just a unknowing genius, unknowing brilliant player, but just natural, like, not had zero idea of, like, if I can't imagine what he would think of the impression that he has had on metal. Like,
right.
He was just, when you talk about Spicoli, it's not unlike Roger's personality, where he was just like, dude, you got a cigarette? Smoke a joint, man. You smoke a joint. Everything was just, he was just, he didn't have a job. He didn't, he didn't care about anything but playing bass and smoking out and smoking cigarettes and talking about metal. And I love that. It's like, it was such an honest, pure metalhead, that's hard to come by these days,
Right.
And he just wanted to be good, he wanted to be a good bass player, and
and original, dude. His playing style is so unique.
He also had those roots in older shit as well. He oddly, one of his favorite bass players was Gene Simmons, who was definitely not a good bass player.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how the fuck is that? But but I was listening to some, I don't know what song it was, but Gene, for the most part, is a shitty bass player, but he had a couple of moments, and I think those moments inspired Roger to get into Geddy Lee and Steve Harris, and he was also a punk rock kid, He had a lot of influence in punk, but his technicality just came from a really honest place. There was nobody opening riff of Piece of Time is, I don't know, man. I don't know how to describe it even 30 plus years later. Like, I just remember him coming to practice and playing, and I remember it vividly. And I was just going, songs like I Deny, that opening bass line in I Deny is like something I always can completely have a picture of in my head. Well, me just going, I can't play that. Me and Ram both were like, I don't even know what, because it was just the way he played with his fingers. He had such attack. So you see a lot of guys that are really finesse players, and they play their ass off, and tapping and all that shit. He was fucking pounding, and executing,
and all over the stage too. There's some videos that I love to find of you guys back in that era where I'm like,
he would bang it out so hard that at the end of the show he would have red marks on his neck.
Really?
I'd be willing to bet that if he had continued that sort of headbanging through his whole life, he would have some fucking issues, man, because it was a lot, like, some serious head trauma. I mean, so much. So, like I said, so much. I mean, I've never seen anybody get like red marks on their neck where he was breaking blood vessels from just fucking banging it out. He
Yeah.
really meant it, you know. I mean, he really meant it, and he was you know, he was just one of those brilliant fucking guys, man. And
Totally,
it just sucks,
dude.
you know?
And didn't those Relapse reissues have some drum and bass only
Yeah.
tracks from the recorded? Dude, do yourself a favor and go listen to that so you can
Yeah.
really get the front row of Roger playing with fucking
And also,
Steve, dude.
to appreciate that even more is you know, something about recording back in those days that's different than today is those are live drums.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a live take of top to bottom of a bass take. Like he might have done it, you know, 3 or 4 times, but that top to bottom thing with maybe a couple of exceptions, you know, those are really something you don't hear a lot today. Everything's done in pieces, bits and pieces, and you can digitally move things around. You know, that was all analog, and you know, we would play, you know, to record the drums. You know, we would maybe play through the song 2 or 3 times live, and you know, and Steve would pick one of those takes, and you know, we would move forward. And so the bass lines, a lot of the bass lines we kept. We wanted that live feel because that was where we were at our best. So we, you know, he would just go in and touch up a couple of other things, you know, and so you know, I think that gets lost in the spirit of why old school death metal is kind of, you know, it's important. If you're a new metalhead or a recent, you know, in the last 10 years, you just kind of discovered that, you know, metal's really important. Go back and imagine how hard it was to have to nail drums top to bottom without being able to, you know, fix it on your computer or, you know, none of that. You couldn't do it, man. You could get, if you're in a 4-minute song like Mother Man, if anybody knows Mother Man, the song,
Fucking killer song.
you could play that 3 minutes and 50 seconds really well, but if you fucking shit the bed in the last 10 seconds, fuck. Now you gotta go back and start it all over again and do it and hope that you get the same, you know what I mean? And you can't say enough about how hard that is. It's fucking, and to get what we got, you know, today you could, you know, you don't have to go through that. You could just be like, bink, 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 and somebody fixes it for you. And
well, I'm really glad I found the footage of Steve Flynn playing. I think is it tracking the album. There's some footage.
More sound.
More sound recently, and those are some of my favorite finds on YouTube recently because I like worship those drum tracks, and I was like, "Fuck, this is it actually being recorded." That's so sick.
I always love watching things like that from other bands. You know,
I always bring up kind of, I guess you'd call it like the verse riff from Unquestionable Presence as like no band today would like be able to write this because you can't like count it to a grid. It's kind of like Master of Puppets has the same thing where it's like in between like 7/8 and 9/8 or whatever. I forget the exact count.
If you know, this is funny that you bring this up because it's you know, it's a thing. Like we never used a click track. So when you listen to early Atheist records, none of those records are done to a click. So they're breathing and moving and they're living organisms. And that's, you know, that's the way it is live too. And I think, you know, there's something to be said about the quality of that. And I think modern metal listeners are kind of getting tired of hearing that perfect to the, you know, perfectly timed, you know, everything's done to a click and it's all quantized and just all nice and easy and perfect. And when you go back and you listen to those old records, I think your ears interpret it to your brain and it makes you feel differently. I mean, maybe I'm weird, maybe I'm just kind of overanalyzing it, but I think that, I think there's a refreshing, even though the quality isn't the same, I think there's a refreshing side to people listening to songs slow, you know, speed up and slow down. Because if you were to, you know, there's a thing on YouTube, I'm sure you guys have seen, where they try to put a click track to Running with the Devil from Van Halen and song, you know, classic songs that you love, and they quantize them. And when you quantize them, you listen to it, and it's like don't, you know, like Running with the Devil becomes really stupid sounding.
Yeah.
And you kind of appreciate the idea of not being a slave to a click track. But, you know, it does save a lot of money these days when you're making a record if you do things to a click, because you can move shit around and you can arrange things. There's a lot of great qualities to modern recording. So I'm not bashing it, but I'm just saying it's people today in the last 20 years, if you're a musician, you've been recording for the last 20 years and you don't know how it was back then, you know, you might find it interesting to know that those were difficult. I mean, there's a mistake on Piece of Time. You used to have to, in order to get clean breaks, you would have to punch, you'd have to mute each track that you wanted everything to break on. So there were times where Scott Burns was on guitars, Steve would be on his toms, and everybody had to hit the break. And so there's a song, Room with a View. There's at the very end, there's a heavy part where it's like gun gun gun. We were supposed to let off to bring it all back in, and we missed it just by a nanosecond. So it's a fucking huge mistake that's always been there for all these years. But every time I listen to it, I'm like, fuck.
I know the exact part. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I never realized it was like kind of mistaken. I just was like,
absolutely
that's cool sounding. That sounds sick. Like,
how
they do that?
Yeah, it's like, and some people probably listen to that and thought, oh, how fucking tech, they waited just an extra second.
Exactly, dude.
You gotta punch in correctly, man. So it's always funny. Me and Scott talk about shit like that all the time, like, because we didn't have any more money either. And that's the thing about Scott Burns, and I get back to him again, is all those, Sepultura Beneath the Remains never would have got done without Scott Burns. Never would have been completed. There was no way. I mean, he went to great lengths and great sacrifice to Brazil, back here to Tampa, to make that happen. Did it for, next to no money. Definitely no money. And always came in a couple hours early and stayed a couple hours late on his own time at the studio. Otherwise, we never would have got those things finished. And that mistake that we were just talking about that's in Room with the View, we couldn't fix it because we were out of time. We were out of money. And that was it. We had $7,200 to make Piece of Time. And then we had to pay Ed Repka for the cover. And that was $1,500. So it's not a lot of money to make a record, and at $100 an hour, that's what's, the studio used to be back then. So we did it all like 7 days. Plus we had to pay for a, hotel for us all to stay at for a week. And so that money got eaten up quick, but yeah, it was just different times. So, I mean, but I love making music in modern times, so I'm not one of those guys that's like, get off my lawn with your fucking new shit. I love,
totally. And no, you've already shown that you are definitely down with the new shit.
I love, there's so many. I can't believe the level of musicianship compared to when we were kids. And it's like a dream, really, for me. I just love watching. I love a great musician. I'll never be a hater, on like, oh man, that's, our music was, technical in a time where it wasn't that way. But there are bands today playing that fucking, there's no way I could play that shit. I mean, they're incredible, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the modern technical metal. I just think that I tip my hat to these guys that just guitar players, bass players, drummers, like just otherworldly shit that they're, I didn't even expect it to get to that level. And so it's nice because that's what needed to happen, because in the very early stages of death metal, man, it was a lot of knuckle dragging shit.
Yeah.
It was real messy and really underplayed, and that was the thing that really kind of bothered us, and that's why we leaned on those other influences and pulled that in with. We love that eerie, deep, dark shit. We were like, we gotta clean this up a little bit and play it. We loved Yes and complicated shit too, and Rush, and combine those things, and also it's like, oh, that's weird. And then you had Atheist.
Who brought the Latin influence, if there was any?
It was Tony Choi, absolutely. Yeah, it was Tony.
Definitely.
Well, actually, that's not fair, because we used. Steve took one of the turning points in Atheist technicality was Steve Flynn took some Latin drum lessons, Latin jazz drum lessons for about 6 months. And in that time, Steve's a really smart guy, and he, learned a lot of shit in a short amount of time. And he was very, practiced every single day. And so he used a lot of that stuff. He started using it in timbales, using timbales, which wasn't really ever used in metal. And so he was really he introduced it. And then Tony Choi, obviously just that was his natural way of being. So when we did Elements, Steve Flynn wasn't involved, but Tony had a huge role in that Latin vibe of that record. And we wrote that record in such a short amount of time that there was really no time to think about it or even think about the fact that it had all those Latin qualities until, years later looking back on it. But yeah,
was that around in Florida at the time? Like,
what do you mean?
Just living in Florida, was there, I mean, I'm imagining maybe some Cuban influence or something just from the cultural, or that's maybe just me not knowing too much.
No, I mean, Tony's from Miami. So if
Okay.
you've ever been to Miami, it's, huge Cuban population or that Cuban vibe. And Tony's just always had a natural, he is Cuban. So,
Okay.
so he has that, that just that natural sort of thing that he brought in. And then once I sort of knew that, I mean, we were friends, obviously, the Cynic guys and us, and I lived with Paul Masvidal for a short period of time. I was homeless for a minute and I needed to go to Miami. So I lived with Paul, and he was kind enough to take me in. But Tony's just has a natural ability to natural rhythm. And Steve obviously had those early lessons. So, when Steve, when we played together, when they played those things from the records, where Steve was using his Latin influence, Tony automatically had a kind of a different vibe than maybe Roger would have. And so yeah, it's there's not a lot of Latin. It's definitely not on Jupiter as much, I don't think. I don't think there's really any Latin shit going on. Well, there might be, I don't know. It's hard. You kind of get kind of forget the things until you go back and listen to them again. It's like watching a movie you haven't seen in a really long time.
Yeah. We got some homies, a band called Flub. I'll send you the link later to follow up, but I think the new record there is the continuation of some of that. I've been talking about this recently with people. So there's a couple bands that are trying to take off that trend that was in early tech metal, but didn't really pick up as much as other, like the neoclassical thing got big in tech for a while. And yeah, so
the drummer who played on Elements, his name is Josh Greenbaum, was he was only in the band he only had 2 weeks to work on that album with us. And and he was River Phoenix's drummer, so before River Phoenix died. And we were in Gainesville when we were doing that, and we stayed up there for 2 months at the studio with Mark Pinsky, the guy who worked with Frank Zappa. And so we loved the studio, and we were excited about working with him, coming from more sound away from Scott into this new guy. I don't know, it just seemed like the thing to do at the time. And but it was our first digital record that we'd ever made. But we I had worked in the first 2 weeks. We had only 40 days to write that album. The first 2 weeks I was working with a guy, and it just wasn't kind of working. And then Tony became involved, and then we got Josh. I had seen Josh Greenbaum play. I was recording with Neurotica in Gainesville. That's where I first found out about that studio, and went to like this jazz improv night. And it's a college town, so there was a lot of young music happening, and I was young as well. So and then I saw Josh play, and they were just literally improvising their ass off and fucking playing some super crazy tech shit. I was like, can you do this? Can you do this gig? And he said, yeah. And then in 2 weeks, man, he took what we already had, and then we wrote the rest of the album in the last 2 weeks, and then recorded it, and did all that stuff in 40 days. And there's a lot of complexity to it. And so it was a really special, as much as some people have an indifference with Elements, I invite people to go back and listen to it. There's a lot of really interesting shit on the record.
I fucking love that, right? I mean, I love it all, dude, but Elements definitely is another thing where I'm like,
but you know what I mean? Like some people are like, man, it's kind of the
screw that. Yeah, dude,
they're all different and have their own,
definitely different
voice. And with Elements though, it's like even the cover art too. Before I had kids, cool. Like I was gonna get that artwork on my arm because I thought it was such a sick fucking picture, dude. And it's it has meaning too. It's like Earth being attacked by all the elements and shit. Mm-hmm. You're just like,
that was a weird thing too lyrically. I'd never written song titles or written lyrics around song titles. So I usually write lyrics and then find the song title in the lyric. But because of it, everything happened so quickly and all the music was done, and so ahead of time, I was just, me and Rand were riding up to the studio in his car, and we started talking about elements, and fire, earth, air, water. But then, I didn't think about how hard that would be to write lyrics about, how do you write mineral? How do you write lyrics about mineral? So I had to find a way to sort of get, sort of speak from the perspective of Earth. If Earth could speak, how, you know, and then I was just and then I kind of got interested in it, and water, and you know, there's a lot of really cool lyrics in there that I feel very third person to, because it happened so quickly, and it happened in such a weird way that I almost feel like I wasn't involved. So I can kind of appreciate it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing. You know, when you get older, you do get removed from the process of it, and you can be actually not a fan, but you can appreciate your music in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm sure Paul McCartney looks back on old Beatles records and goes, "Oh, you know, that's fucking good." You know?
I have an easier time listening to old music that I've done too. I was actually just talking to Casey about this recently. Like with Servile, I didn't really like my performance at the time. You know, I thought I could have done better. Things were happening in life, and I was just like, I recorded it in 2 different sections, and I was in one headspace for the first, you know, the 4 songs, and then I was in a different headspace for the rest of the album. And it's because my grandma passed away, and I just, you know, so that being in my mind, like knowing that I wasn't in the same headspace, made me critique myself in the wrong way by listening to that album, because I would like that album was branded with that negativity at the time, you know. But now I've had enough time away from it, and I've you know, I see all these people appreciate it through this show, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I should go back and listen to it. And I listened to it.
Those are honest things, you know, because when things happen to you, you know, music is sort of an exhaust pipe. So, you know, all that shit goes through your motor and comes out the exhaust pipe, and as long as you can process, I mean, that's one of the great things about playing music, is you can process all those feelings in a way that other people can't, you know, and you can get it out of you in the form of music. So yeah,
totally,
right on.
Well, dude. I would just like to say, like, growing up for us, like, I mean, I think I heard Atheist, God, it must have been like the early 2000s for the first time, or like finishing high school, and man, like, it was like we loved all the like we would change out like elements and put on, you know, all the different ones, like, you know, like put on Piece of Time and stuff, and like we would just change them out, and like we thought you guys were so like creative, and like just
thanks, man.
You would do all these different things, and like elements to us just made sense. We're like, oh, of course Atheists would do something amazing like this.
But there's some, you know, weird moments, man, that it took a minute for, you know, for especially the Latin things. You know, I don't think there was a whole lot of that, especially, you know, a piece like Samba Brisa is like, was way outside the bounds. I think people are like, what the fuck is that? But I mean, we really loved that, you know, and there were people that was in a period where there was a trickling of technical stuff happening. We just thought, well, this sound, you know, we want to make a piece that is literally just like sounds like a jazz band came in here and fucking played it, you know. And it was very, you know, and Tony Choi had a large role in getting that rolling. I wanted to have interludes in between each song, and so Tony, you know, sort of got that together with Dave Smadbeck, played piano on that, and Frank Emmy did a great job on the guitar solo, and it just turned into this cool ass thing that, you know, that just kind of fell together really quick. But it you know, it separated us from, you know, a couple of other bands that were kind of dipping their toe in technical metal. We were like, listen, man, you know, it's just that spirited competition we all had when we were back in the day. I think in the early days of Tampa metal and stuff, you know.
I think it's so rad that you guys were just so like original though, like doing your thing, and you were just Atheist. It was just so sick. Like we always, like, I mean,
it was not a lot of fun though, man. It was rough back then. We didn't get the same opportunities, man. It sucked, you know. I mean, it's cool now to look back and be like, man, I'm glad we held our, you know, we stuck to our guns and everything. But fuck, man, it was really hard to get on a tour. You know, it was really hard to find anybody to tour with. So, but I mean, it all works out for the best. I mean, here we are, all these years later. We're talking about things, and it matters to you guys, and you're from a different generation, and it's a good thing, man. It's hard to do. It's hard to do anything art wise that lasts, you know, that matters to anybody after a couple of years, you know, especially these days. You know,
I listened to all the 4 albums, like,
so I'm grateful,
in the last couple of days again, just for fun.
Thanks, man.
It was just I've heard them so many times, but and I've heard Jupiter before too, but I like went over it again, and I was like, Holy shit, dude!
There's some cool shit on that record, man.
Dude.
I mean,
God.
People are sleeping on that fucking shit because
Good.
it came out and they were like, "Oh, that's a modern production," and we don't like. And it's like,
I love.
What are we gonna do? Go in 2010 and make a record?
It still sounds raw and sick, dude. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds.
Not only
really
that,
good.
it's like it's its own thing too. Each album by Atheist is its own thing. It's like Atheist is one of those bands that is like the last album is not gonna really sound like this album. You know, it's like they progress through their career, and that's one of the biggest standout things with Atheist, the originality and how they keep, you know, taking chances, go through and doing what they want to do at that time as a band when they do a record.
And that's something to hang your hat on. You know what I mean? And it's hard to find things to hang your hat on with metal, and you know, everybody's doing, you know, everybody's moving, and it's like traffic. You know, there's like tons of traffic, you know, and if you could find a side road and get away and, you know, and sort of create a different path, and it's a blessing. So I'm grateful that, you know, but again, I can't help but think about how I wish that it had been different. I wish people had the same open minds that they have now, then, you know, and just and being able to understand that it's okay to combine influences.
But you got to think of it like this way. Sorry to cut you off. It was you guys who paved the way for people to having more open mind. They were introduced to this stuff that I love to use the metaphor. All the fucking regular listeners are going to be like, oh, here he goes. But downloading software with listening brain software. So an Atheist album comes with new software for your, but you don't realize it, you need to be upgraded to be able to accept it. So it's like the first few listens are the uploading process, and then boom, you got the software and it fucking clicks. And
one of the things that's really tough about Atheist is when you get reviewed by a magazine. When you were talking about, you know, it takes a couple of listens to kind of to be able to get into an Atheist record, and I think that was one of the misconceptions, not misconceptions, but from people that were reviewing the record and they were getting it 2 weeks before it comes out. This really happened a lot with Jupiter, and you know, there were moments where people were writing, "Oh, it sounds like these guys have been listening to Mudvayne." What a fucking insult! You know, get the fuck out of here. Do your homework, man. Are you kidding me? Yeah, we sit around and listen to Mudvayne. Are you kidding me? Like, you know, we've always been like, and it's nothing against Mudvayne. It's just like, but my vocal style, I'd be, you know, go back and listen to the records, man. You know, maybe dude from Mudvayne got his shit from Creator and Destruction, and maybe even Atheist, you know. So I hate when people are inaccurate that way, because especially if you're a writer, because they're getting the record before the general public. And these days, you know, shit goes viral, and for 2 weeks people, I heard that record sucks, you know, you know, I read that it's this, I read that it's that, and then people go, I'm not going to check it out. And it really does affect the way people
they become like a gatekeeper. They have like power over.
But here's what they do. They got to do 6 reviews before the end of the week. The record company sent them, you know, this record from this band, this record from that band, and so they listen to Atheist one time and they go, what the fuck, you know, sounds like they sound confused, and the guy sounds like this from Mudvayne, and then they print it, and then everybody reads it and goes, oh fuck yeah, I heard the new Atheist is not good, you know. And it's like, just so I invite people to, you know, just go spend some time with each record, and I think you'll find some things that you've never, you know, experienced before musically, even
totally,
you know,
dude.
So
but
thank you guys for you know, exposing it, putting me out, bringing me back on there.
Well, that's kind of us. This is totally a selfish episode for us, dude. You know, like that's kind of how this thing is, though. It's like it's people we want to talk to first, and it just so happens to be Kelly Shaefer from Atheist this week.
Cheers, man.
And by the way, having so much fun too. It's like, this is so great. How many times this has happened to us now? Like Terrence. We got fucking Steve DiGiorgio. Now we got Kelly, and all you guys are sick motherfuckers, dude. You make me want to be back in the 90s with you guys. Like, I wish I could jump in the DeLorean and fucking go back to Tampa and, like, you know.
Yeah, Hobbs is great, man. Steve D. I mean, it's there's a, you know, I was just hanging out at a show, the Death Tribute show, actually, in Tampa a couple of months ago, and there was just a lot of old school people there, and just reminded me of how, you know, how much I love all my sort of contemporaries, You know, you see,
Yeah.
you know, I run into it's, you know, it sucks getting older sometimes, but sometimes it's nice, you know, when you have this history with so many different people, kind of appreciate it. It's cool. Lee Harrison, you know, just all the Tardy Boys, you know, David Austin from Nasty Savage, you know, a guy that I used to just worship as my buddy. You know, I can reach out to him and call him whenever I want. You know, I have such appreciation for them, and I, you know, just you know, I'll never not appreciate this whole journey. You know, it's been super interesting, and you know, and I look forward to the post-COVID era. You know, got so much music bottled up inside me. I mean, aside from this new Till the Dirt record, you know, we'll be working on a new Atheist record, and that's going to be done with a real vengeance, you know, and a lot of fun and with no worry, you know, because at this point, you know, we don't have to worry about it. We can make whatever the fuck record we want to make.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be. I promise you, it's gonna spin your mind, you know, for sure.
I just got butterflies in my stomach, dude.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man. You know, because I mean, everybody's already accepted us for being that kind of band. So now it's just fucking crank it to 11 one time and see what happens. You know, what we got to lose? You know, what are you gonna do? Fire us? You know, I mean, fuck it.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask about the leading up to the reunion, because I know the story is that like you talked to Paul Masvidal and helped convince him to bring Cynic back. But I was wondering what kind of got you, like, were you paying attention to people telling you, "Hey, bring Atheist back, like it's time"? Like, how did that kind of go about?
The way the reissues happened on Relapse were pretty sort of naturally unfolding as well. I just I didn't have any copies of the Atheist record, and after the whole Ozzfest thing, when Neurotica came back and was trying to figure out what to do and which direction to go, and I was like, you know, I while I was out on Ozzfest, I had run into like Jamie Josta from Hatebreed, remembered Atheist, and the bass player from OTEP, remembered Atheist. And I was like, I was kind of surprised that, you know, people still remember the band. So I was like, I gotta get them again. I didn't have copies of the album, so I went online to find them, and they were really expensive. And I was just like, who would pay that much for those CDs? And I was like, well, I knew that we had signed a record deal with a European label that didn't correctly give us didn't do business correctly. And so I knew that I could start a record label and just take those records and license them to a modern record label like Relapse. And we did, and it was a huge success. And we remastered them and redid the artwork, and they Relapse did a phenomenal job, and they put out the box set, and that's where it started. And then we reached out to an agent to try to play some shows, and we were just shocked, you know, that all of a sudden there was like this interest in the band that was just never there back in the day, because it had time to simmer for 17 years. And
well, it's like one of those things where it's like it was, you know,
we didn't know
ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time, dude. Like
bands are coming out that are like have all those, you know, genres mixing together. And it's like, well, check out fucking Atheist. I did it way before y'all.
Yeah,
like in a very almost like nice. You listen to it now, it's like it literally still like if that came out today, like some of those albums, you'd just be like, that's,
the internet played a large role in that, and we, you know, I was still very virgin-esque to the internet, and all of us were in our era people, and we thought that going to Europe, we would play for a lot of old school people, you know, maybe, but it was at the meet and greet, it was all 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And we were like, holy shit, you know, the music was older than they were. And we were just kind of surprised that was the case. And I think that, you know, it's purely just because of the internet and the timing and the way it worked. And that's how it's continued, you know.
I remember the first time I like heard of Atheist or whatever was from Mike Smith's T-shirt on the back of Effigy.
Suffocation, yeah,
you know. And I was like, probably like late '90s, because I graduated high school in 2001. So like, I'm like, what's that shirt? Atheist, what's that? I remember like seeing that logo. It's such a cool logo, you know. And I was like, Atheist, fuck yeah! I was like, that's got to be really good, you know.
That's how things were discovered, you know. Even you know, you're coming from sort of the mid generation, but even in the early days, seeing a T-shirt that somebody's wearing, like, what is that? You know, that's kind of a, that underground punk thing as well. Punk was very much that way.
Yep.
Where bands, sort of built their following. Nobody else knew about them, but if you saw like a sticker or a patch on somebody's vest, you're like, who's that?
Last episode.
TBH, who's that? DRI. And,
I was gonna say too, it's interesting hearing these different perspectives of genres and generations and stuff. But like for us, like growing up, like and then playing metal in the early 2000s, and dude, we to us, Atheist was just another one of the bands we listened to. Like we listened to Unquestionable Presence and that shit like all the fucking time, like, and all those albums, like. So to us, it was just like, oh yeah, Atheist is just another band that we listen to. Like they're insane. It was like like. So we look at you guys as on the same level, like as all the other bands, like always,
Yeah, it was like Pierce from Within. It's like Pierce from Within was crazy, and like Atheist was crazy, but like in their own elements.
Different
in their own element,
yeah. Like they had their own kind of style to it, but it was still pushing.
We played with Suffo for the first time in '91 on that tour where we lost Roger, and Roger loves Suffo, man, but. It's great. I love seeing Terrence and Suffocation do so well, and be in his position now. It's still all these years later, they're still making just brutal fucking music, and it's nice, man. It's nice to be able to go out and try. I look forward to touring with those guys. We toured in South America together in 2019, and had a fucking blast. So we get each other. We're different, but but it works well live. As a bill. It's cool.
Does it come through Cali? I didn't even look at the dates.
Yeah. I think there's a show here in June I'm going to go to or something.
Yeah, San Fran, LA. Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to San Fran.
I'm definitely going, dude.
Let's gather up, fucking wherever you guys are individually. Just hit me up.
It'll be super cool to. I'm not a Jaeger drinker, but I'll fucking take a Jaeger bomb with you if I go.
The guys playing in the band. There's. Sometimes people get upset about different members being in a band, but I can't say enough about anybody that saw us play on the Cattle tour in 2020 should know that I've got like some beastly musicians. A drummer is just Anthony Medaglia he's amazing. He does all the live stuff. Steve Flynn doesn't like the tour. He has just a different life. He likes to make records, and touring is not something he's ever been able to do in abundance. And so, collectively we decided it'd be cool to get an understudy, so that so we can get out and perform this music before we're not here anymore. And so that Cattle tour was like the first time going out with these guys, and I tip my hat to them. They play this music better in many ways than we played it back in the day, and when it's played correctly, it moves the earth in a different way. That sounds cheesy or stupid, but it's they play so well, and then in today's modern sound, and PA systems and the way it is, like if you enjoyed it on the record, it's fucking way heavier live, and I can feel it on stage. It's really cool.
I feel like Atheist is a band I need to see live. Like
I was just about to say, like I've seen Suffo so many fucking times, but I never had an opportunity to see Atheist, and I am gonna make sure.
I hope you guys will make it. A tour starts May 26th in Brooklyn.
I'm gonna see if this works.
See everybody in Maryland.
Oh shit! Okay, so where's San Diego? Brick by Brick, June 5th. I'm there. Whatever day that week is. I don't care what day.
The day before, LA 1720. I'll see you there, man.
Nice.
And maybe Pomona too. I might go twice. We'll see.
That's a great venue.
Glass House. Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So it'll be fun, man. So come see me.
Plus, Surreption, dude. Surreption and Contrarian, both sick ass bands, dude.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's like a dope lineup, man.
I don't know the other
one. Good night of metal, indeed.
Yeah, Contrarian is like prog death metal, like
to check it out.
Style. Yeah, nice. Be sick.
Cool.
Yeah.
That rules. Fuck yeah.
Dude,
good views as well.
Is there any fan questions that you've been saving, Joseph? Or did we go through pretty much everything?
Yeah, no, that was it. I mean,
there's this right here. Jen's been here for a while, been dropping some on acid with you, Kelly, like back in the day.
Certainly.
Newspaper joint roll.
I didn't squeeze it in. But I remember she had a comment earlier saying that Piece of Time was written at her house or some shit.
Well, yeah, we had her and Alana that she was just talking about there, who just died a couple of years ago,
Mm.
had a house. It was, yeah, it was kind of a house. It was a house, and we all lived there and grew pot in the closet, and we didn't have a place to rehearse, so it had wooden floors, and it sounded really, really good in there. So yeah, we did. We wrote a lot of the Piece of Time stuff there, and the warehouse that we had before that. We got kicked out of that warehouse because of so many parties, so then we had nowhere to go. So we and Alana was my ex-girlfriend, and her and Jen, who was just writing there, were roommates. And yeah, so that's a true story. Yeah, we did.
Damn.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got another one about your shirt. Also, right
Dude,
here.
I was literally about to ask the same question, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Piece of Time.
Damn.
How fucking sick is that shirt, dude? When did that one get printed?
Well, it's limited. Gosh, I feel terrible right now. I'm buzzed. I got to think of the fucking shit. We had a tab book made, and Fortiz, Fortiz, FortizMusic.com, and he has these shirts, so you can get one. And they're really cool. It's the actual Steve Music for Piece of
I
Time.
love white metal shirts too. Like I'm so tired of black, dude. I need to have different. If I want to, I still want to support metal. I'm like, fuck, dude, black t-shirts all day. Come on.
White, it's funny when you go to Wacken in Germany, large festival, 70,000 people. I mean, if you're wearing a white shirt, you're gonna stick out. Yeah, somebody could spot you from fucking 200 yards away, man. I've never seen such a sea of black shirts in my life. It was really crazy.
Dude, post COVID, I've actually, I've stuck to the black because of the breasts I'm growing, because of the because of the weight. It's like I'm like, oh, this looks way sicker. I like buy these like cool shirts. I'm like, yeah, it's a white tee, dude. And I look in the mirror. I'm like, shit.
White it definitely doesn't lie, dude. You're gonna see everything when you wear white.
Yeah.
Brings out the ugly truth.
Dude, I've seen you recently. You're not that bad. What are you talking about?
I don't know. You ever do the side profile in a fucking mirror, dude? Come on.
Yeah, I never liked the side profile, dude.
That's the truth. That's the truth profile, dude. It's the elements.
The truth.
Well, hell yeah, guys. Any other questions from the resident homies? Like, come on, what do we got here?
The resident homies.
Yeah, my resident homies, dude.
So you're in Tampa right now, right?
No, I'm in Sarasota.
Oh shit,
Sarasota.
We have a
50 miles south. Siesta Key. You ever seen that show on MTV, Siesta Key?
No.
I've heard of
it. Show. Well, I'm sure you've heard of it.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Is that like, I think that Sarasota is a place that we had to like sign a contract that like if we were on stage there, we'd lose our whole guarantee if we cussed on stage, because it was like the super, was that Sarasota? Pensacola. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm mixing it all together. Yeah, it was like super Bible, but like if you cuss on stage, we're taking your whole guarantee.
Yeah. Wow.
And like we had to sign a thing, and like Bill was just handing the mic to people to cuss, like the crowd, make them cuss. And like, yeah, it was like, it wasn't me. It's all good. Give us some money. But yeah,
Sarasota's great. It's a paradise. It's a little crowded these days. I mean, when I was growing up, it was much more quaint. And but Siesta Key Beach is one of the best beaches in the world. It's if you look it up, it's just a great place to grow up and a great place to raise kids. And
nice.
We're 5 minutes from one of the most gorgeous beaches ever, and it's cool. It's odd that a band like Atheist would come from a town like this, because it's a lot of old people. People come here to retire, so to speak. But there's a lot of young money here as well. But it's just it's a town that never gets fucked with hurricanes.
Okay.
It's got a lot of. I've been here 40 years, and we never get like a category 5 or anything. It always manages to kind of skip around us, because we're right in the middle, just below Tampa, and so it's hard for a hurricane to kind of swing around or come around. So we've been fortunate, and it's just it's beautiful. But in these times, it's getting harder and harder to live here. It's rent is just going crazy.
Yeah. People are finding out the same things that you're saying right now. They're finding that out, and they're like, "Oh, well, I can live there for cheaper." And just
I think Robert Plant has a place here now. Joe Perry, Stephen King, Brian Johnson, fucking everybody lives here now. It's like,
oh wow.
So yeah, it's very. There's a lot of really cool places, and a lot of cool houses around here.
Yeah.
So I have a question for myself. What is your flip flop to shoe ratio?
I can say that I probably unless I have to go somewhere, it's flip flops every
Fuck
day.
yeah, dude. See,
Yeah.
adding another one to my fucking club, dude. Flip flops and metal, dude. I'm fucking starting a movement, dude.
It's I mean, Florida. I mean, it's 88 degrees Fahrenheit here today.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't need to be having my fucking boots on, but if I have to go somewhere, and I want to look decent, I'll wear boots, but I don't hardly ever wear sneakers.
Yeah.
For some
What
reason.
about, okay, here's another question, side question. Ever do flip flops on stage?
No.
Boom. So
have I? Probably, but would I ever now? No. No. I think no. I would go barefoot before I would do that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
All right.
Not for metal anyway. I mean, if I was just hanging out at a backyard party, I would not go on stage if I had flip flops. But if I go somewhere, I put shoes on. But if I'm just cruising through my day and going to buy groceries and shit like that, it's flip flops for sure because it's too fucking hot. This is really hot.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool, like putting that foot up on the monitor with those curled toes and the sandals, and singing some brutal shit, dude.
No, I used to when I had a club called Kelly's Live for a couple of years, and I used to. There was a particular band that would come through, and the singer was really good, the great singer. And one of the first things I told him, I was like, dude, you can't come in here and fucking rock flip flops. I said, people don't want to see a band that looks like they should be mowing their lawn. People want to have, you got to bring a little bit to, he's a really great singer. Like, I'm sure if he watches this, he'll be like, fuck you, dude. But I meant it as a term of endearment. I was like, come on, now you got to throw on, he had shorts and flip flops. I was like, you look like you're going to come change my oil.
What's hilarious is that
I want you to fucking get on stage.
You're hitting so many fucking points right now that are so crazy that you don't even know about. Because I'm a mechanic. I wear shorts and flip flops on stage. I'm the front man of the band. Like I'm all of that. I'll change your oil. I gotta get the fucking steel toe flip flops. Then I can wear those at work. Dude.
Steel toe flip flops.
It's an oxymoron, dude.
There's the metal uniform these days seems to be camo everything. I take issue with that, and I'm sure people would be like, yeah, well, fuck you, Axel, with your fucking headband. So it's fun to rib each other. I think everybody should take themselves a little less serious.
Yeah, no,
totally.
That's why I was laughing at what you were saying, because I'm like, holy shit, dude, he's fucking saying everything. He's talking about me. Did he say he was talking about me? That's what I was thinking. I was like, he's saying everything that I am, dude.
I mean, it's kind of like when you said like Deftones was a big deal to you. It's kind of like back when you were in the in the midst of your doing the first shows and stuff like that, first albums and stuff. If you dropped a band that like everyone's like, oh, they're all fuck that band. It was kind of like this. I mean, in my groups and stuff like that, it was always like you were kind of embarrassed if you listened to anything softer. It kind of was, and then you hit the certain age where you're like, I don't give a shit. This is what I listen to. Deftones is the sickest. You know what I mean? It's
like, I don't care. And I like what I like.
Yeah,
certainly, definitely.
If it makes me feel a certain way and I like the way it makes me feel, I'm gonna fucking listen to it. I don't give a fuck what it is.
That's what it's about, for sure.
Fuck yeah,
guys! My computer's about to die.
Kelly, let's wrap it up.
I just looking at my little battery. My little battery thing's about fucking.
All right, it's all good, dude. Thank you
for
so much. It's
been a real pleasure hanging with you, gents, man. I appreciate you having me. And hit the hit the Instagram Atheist Band. We have to go as Atheist Band, and Till the Dirt is also on Facebook, and check that out. Watch for that album coming out, and come see us on tour, man, in May and June with Suffocation and Disruption and Contrarian.
Fuck yeah,
it's gonna be a fucking ton of fun. Hope that each of you guys will reach out to me individually and
we'll hang out.
Yeah, I'll stay in touch, no doubt, dude. And I really want to be at that San Francisco show, so I gotta fucking
make it happen.
Make some
shuffle. Sure, I'm 100% gonna be there. 100%.
We haven't been to San Fran since 1991. Yeah, we played the Stone.
Okay, you just confirmed it.
Yeah,
really?
The Stone. We played the Stone.
The Stone.
Yeah. Wow. And Mike Patton was there.
Wow,
that's a great story because I love Mike Patton. He's like one of my favorite vocalists ever. And I heard somewhere along the line that he that he was at that show. And then years later, I was at a Mr. Bungle show, and I was like a little fanboy. I was like, hey, did you go see Atheist at the Stone in San Francisco? And he was like, fuck yeah, it was a great band. And he was like wrapping up his own chords and his own pedals and everything. I couldn't believe he was out there. And I was all like, yeah, it's my band. You know, fucking Patton's a fucking genius.
Genius, dude.
I love that guy, man.
Yeah, we do too.
I have so much respect for him.
Well,
boys,
dude. Thank
be
you
good.
so much.
Fucking metal.
You too, man.
No doubt, dude. Let's do an outro real quick, and then we'll.
What do you want me to say?
No, I'm just saying I'm going to do an outro, and then we'll wrap it up. And I think we're going to raid somebody here.
I just raided Justin McKinney.
Boom. So thank you so much for hanging out with us, all you guys. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, resident homies. I didn't say it at the top, but battleforgecoffee.com. Forgot to throw that in there. Go get your caffeine fix. And
Cali Death Podcast.
Yeah, right? Dude. Yeah. That's what's up, dude. Fuck yeah. All right. You guys have a good weekend. And
thanks a lot, Kelly.
We will see you next week.
All right. Stay metal, boys.
See ya.
Cheers.